This is Our News, the weekend edition. And on the broadcast tonight, government looking to up the pace of restoration efforts on Grand Bahama. This while an Abaco MP defends government's restoration efforts on that island. And then later on, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force gets ready to celebrate 4 decades of service.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. The government will continue to work with the Grand Bahama Port Authority to boost the pace of restoration on that island. That's according to Minister of State Kwesi Thompson, who admitted there are a few things that need to change. Giorgio Bain reports.
Minister of State for Grand Bahama, Kwesi Thompson, said while the government partners with the Grand Bahama Port Authority, it will continue to put pressure on the GBPA to pick up the pace of restoration.
There are some things that need to change. There are some pressures that I think the government needs to continue to put on the Grand Bahama Port Authority. One of the things that we are not satisfied with is obviously the situation with the water. And so the government continues to press the Grand Bahama Port Authority with respect to providing the necessary potable water for Grand Bahamians. They provided an update at the latest town meeting, but we will continue to do what we can to press them to ensure that we get potable water in the shortest period of time for persons.
Thompson said it is no secret that the government has not been pleased with the restoration efforts at the Grand Bahama International Airport, which the Grand Bahama Port Authority is also part owner of.
The airport requires a long-term development plan, and the government has entered into talks with the Hutchison and entered into talks with the Grand Bahama Port Authority with respect to transfer of ownership. And so those talks are ongoing. But the airport does require a long-term development plan.
The issues at the Grand Bahama International Airport are not new, and previous storms have also caused extensive damage to the facility.
For the past few years, I think the airport has been rebuilt more than 3 times as a result of hurricanes. And so it does require for us to take a very good look and to put in place a redevelopment plan for the airport.
Reporting for Our News Weekend Edition, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Member of Parliament for Central and South Abaco, James Aubrey, is defending the pace of post-Dorian recovery efforts on that island. Aubrey, who also resides on Abaco, insists the government is moving as quickly as it can to clean up and restore the island that was devastated by Dorian in early September.
Everybody wants the pace to pick up. I want the pace to pick up. I think if anyone could be doing it any faster, we'd all be doing what we could to make it as fast as possible. So I do believe we're working expediently. Now that's not to say that there aren't hiccups, there aren't challenges that we still have yet to resolve. There are a lot of things that are going to need to be done, but I think we're in a position now where we have capacity to do them. Because especially when it comes to debris removal, it's a very sensitive thing.
Central Abaco was decimated by Hurricane Dorian in September. The monster storm left at least 70 dead and thousands homeless and displaced. There have been those who have been critical, of the pace of the cleanup efforts on Abaco in the aftermath of Dorian. 5 months after the disaster, there are many complaints concerning the large amount of debris still scattered about the island. Aubrey says the fact is there has been progress.
I think the key to getting that right, and it is hard and it is tough because you want to help people now, today, because they're suffering now, here, today. People have been suffering for months, but we want to make sure it's done in the right way. And sometimes there are factors beyond people's control, as we've all certainly learned. But I think the key is getting it done right.
National Security Minister Marvin Dame says a crime-free Abaco simply isn't possible at this time. He says while the police have been rotating resources on the island, it isn't realistic for there to be zero crime on that storm-ravaged island.
We're on an island that we're seeking to rebuild, that we're working so hard to rebuild, while the police and the defense force are very much on top of things. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have an incident here and an incident there.
Hurricane Dorian ravaged Abaco back in September. The storm brought economic activity on the island to a halt and displaced thousands of residents. Crime has been a major concern since the storm passed, with looting a major concern in the days that followed the storm. Months on, there are still security concerns that Dames says simply can't be avoided.
You're not going to have an island free of crime, especially an island that would have been so devastated. There will be persons who will be coming or going to those islands with the view of looking for opportunities to commit crime. Well, wherever that happens, the police and the defense force will have to seek those persons out and put them where they truly belong.
Meantime, from the crime beat, a man is in hospital suffering from stab wounds after he was attacked by a group of men. The incident taking place shortly before 3 a.m. at a bar on Charles Vincent Street off Cordero Avenue. Police say a group of men were involved in a fight when one of the men produced a sharp object and stabbed the victim. He was transported to hospital where at last report he was listed in stable condition. Investigations continue. And we will take our first break here, but when we come back, a former opposition leader calls for an investigation into BPL.
It's good. Internet is good. TV is good. But why just pick one thing when you can have everything with Trio? Only $99 a month gets you phone, internet, and cable. That's everything you need for $99 a month. Ask for Trio. Call 601-2200 or email residentialsales@cablebahamas.com. Rev, you and us together.
Former opposition leader Loretta Butler Turner is calling for a full investigation into Bahamas Power and Light. Butler Turner says the power company seems to be a big black hole that's not serving the full interests of taxpayers.
There have been contradictory stories. The good thing about today's technology is that we're able to pull up immediately facts as to what was said previously. And I think that even though we may be short on memory, people are able to go back and actually compare what was said earlier as to what they're doing now. And I think that those things just do not balance out.
Her comments come amid a 15% increase in electricity bill set to take effect in March, and after BPL Chairman Donovan Moxey announced that the power company plans to sell stations A and D to Shell North America. Butler Turner also slammed the government's decision to borrow $27.3 million for a turbine for BPL's Blue Hills plant. She questioned what is going on at BPL.
You will recall that the Prime Minister said since last year that we were going to get a report with regards to BPL, with regards to the fire and the generator, and none of that has been forthcoming. So what the Bahamian people get a constant diet of is the fact that the government is taking a whole lot of latitude in terms of revenue, in terms of borrowing, but yet we are totally in the dark with regards to what is going on.
Up next, the Over the Hill Community Initiative fires back at critics. So stay with us.
It's good. Internet is good. TV is good. But why just pick one thing when you can have everything with Trio? Only $99 a month gets you phone, internet, and cable. That's everything you need for $99 a month. Ask for Trio. Call 601-2200 or email residentialsales@cablebahamas.com. Rev, you and us together.
Welcome back to Our News, the weekend edition. Officials from government's Over the Hill initiative are defending the unit's work after recent criticism from the opposition and members of the public, saying they have assisted more than a dozen businesses in the community.
40 businesses have already qualified, been approved, and are accepting and are getting benefits under the program. And that's, business license fees waiver, duty concessions on importing vehicles and importing materials to upgrade or restore their properties. We have another 20 or so businesses that have applied, and we're working with them to try to get them through the process. But that does not mean persons have not benefited and applied under other government incentives, such as the Industries Encouragement Act. So there are a suite of things, including the SBDC, that have graduated at least 40 plus businesses just from the Over the Hill community, along with their grant assistance. So quite a bit of persons have benefited specifically from those initiatives in the Over the Hill community already.
Yeah. Critics have said helping a handful of businesses is simply not enough. But Jones explained that in many cases, the unit's hands are tied because some businesses are non-compliant.
To be honest, that's the problem for businesses as well as for landowners as well. It's a common question I get all the time. A person say they want to apply and get real property tax abated, but they haven't paid their real property tax in 5 or 6 years. What do I do? So even for those persons, the message is that we can still help you. You just need to simply speak to Inland Revenue and agree to go into a payment plan for the arrears. But at least once you apply into the program, the balance that you owe is not going to be increasing. So at least you freeze it where it is right now. At least that's a help as well.
The Over the Hill Community Development Partnership Initiative is based on 6 key pillars that include social empowerment, economic empowerment, rejuvenation, smart technology, green and sustainable technology, and programs for the youth and the elderly. The most publicized component of the Over the Hill initiative has been its tax exemptions program for residents and owners seeking to renovate their homes and businesses. Over the Hill Unit Executive Manager says there are a number of projects in the works.
A lot of work is, let's speak back to the parks. The parks have been individuals that are contracting the parks who are individuals that actually live in the community. Hence, we've encouraged them to hire persons within the community. So you're talking about bringing what we coin bread and butter to persons that live in the community. Instead of going outside, hire the individuals that work in the community. We are at the initial stage of our backyard farming.
Plans unveiled to celebrate the Defense Force's 40th anniversary. That's coming up when Our News, the weekend edition, returns.
It's good. Internet is good. TV is good. But why just pick one thing when you can have everything with Tria? Only $99 a month gets you phone, internet, and cable. That's everything you need for $99 a month. Ask for Trio. Call 601-2200 or email residentialsales@cablebahamas.com. Rev, you and us together.
The Royal Bahamas Defense Force unveiled its plans for the force's 40th anniversary, which will be celebrated this year. The RBDF became an official entity on March 31st, 1980 by an act of Parliament. With the anniversary just over a month away, Defense Force officials announced plans at the Coral Harbour base.
The Royal Bahamas Defense Force invites members of the public to celebrate with us in a diverse fashion matched only by the variety of skill sets of our proud serving members.
Pinder also revealed that the theme for the celebrations is Beyond the Horizon, into the future with 40 years of guarding our heritage. The official celebrations will kick off with an annual church service on March 13th.
It is envisioned that the variety of activities planned will generate widespread public support as we seek to entice the Bahamian public with fantastic food, fun-filled fitness, and fabulous fanfare during this, our 40th anniversary celebrations.
Well, that's a look at stories making news this evening, but stay tuned. Our weekend weather forecast is coming right up. And that's going to do it for us on a Saturday night. I'm Andrew Knowles. For all of us here at Our News, thank you for watching and good night.